A lot of players in the country playing Division I basketball. Nobody scored more points in one game this year than you. That's the most.
That's
this
crazy. Yeah. More to come for sure.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark, who?
No, don't do that.
Okay.
Don't do that. Much respect there.
JuJu Watkins was once heralded as the next big thing in women's basketball, a generational talent with raw skill, confidence, and an undeniable drive to dominate the court. But as the spotlight intensified, so did the scrutiny. Now, instead of being celebrated as a rising star, she finds herself at the center of controversy, struggling with frustration, comparisons, and the immense pressure that comes with competing at the highest level. Watkins wasn't just another high school prospect. Coming out of Sierra Canyon High School in Los Angeles, she put up video game numbers, dropping 30, 40, even 50 points in a single game. Her blend of elite scoring ability, exceptional court vision, and fierce competitiveness made her a human highlight reel and a highly coveted recruit. When it came time to choose a college, she had her pick of powerhouse programs. But she made a bold decision.
Yep, good. Push. Yep, stay up. Yep, good. All the way through. Yeah, good. Nice. Good. Yep, good. Yep. Front, good. Yep. Tap. Yep. Right there. Yeah, those feet. Yep. Tap. Yep. Push. In and out. Tap. Good. Yep. 1, 2. Not bad. And the whole thing you're trying to do is put your head under the rim. Put your head under the rim. So now she can't track you, right? So you got to try to come through your body and the rim. Good. Nice.
Why do you say the step? Because you said it twice.
She's working on an in and out step.
Made a bold decision. She stayed home to elevate USC, a program with a storied past but a long road back to national dominance. Expectations were sky high. She was supposed to be the next face of women's college basketball, following in the footsteps of legends like Cheryl Miller and Lisa Leslie. The Caitlin Clark effect. Enter Caitlin Clark. Clark wasn't just good, she was generational. From the moment she stepped onto the college basketball scene, it was clear she wasn't just another star, she was a phenomenon. With limitless shooting range, pinpoint passing, and an unrelenting competitive spirit, she didn't just play basketball, she controlled it. Her deep Her deep three-pointers, commanding presence, and ability to dictate the pace of a game made her must-watch TV. She wasn't just putting up historic numbers. She was breaking viewership records and forcing mainstream sports media to pay attention like never before. Suddenly, every young star, including Watkins, was being compared to Clark. And for Watkins, the pressure only mounted. At first, the comparisons were just noise. But as Clark continued to dominate and steal the spotlight, Watkins found herself caught in the conversation. Instead of letting it fuel her, she seemed to let it weigh her down. Frustration became evident, in interviews, on the court, and even in her body language. She bristled at comparisons, showed visible frustration during games, and at times seemed disengaged with the media. In professional sports, perception is everything.
Somebody asked you about JuJu, but what were your thoughts when she went down?
Just sick to my stomach. I didn't watch the video. I can't watch that stuff. It makes me just sick and ill. Devastation, obviously. You just empathize for her because I've been in that position where you have this devastating injury. She had it at a time where it's just the worst timing, and you're playing for a national championship, competing, playing with your team, enjoying the season. So you just feel for
Perception
her.
is everything. And suddenly, the narrative surrounding Watkins began to shift. Instead of being discussed as the future of women's basketball, she was portrayed as a player struggling to handle the competition. In today's era of college sports, name, image, and likeness, NIL deals, have changed the game. Star players aren't just competing on the court, they're competing for marketability, sponsorships, and brand deals. Clark was checking every box. She wasn't just a basketball star. She was a cultural icon, drawing massive crowds, selling out arenas, and driving merchandise sales. Watkins, on the other hand, was facing a different reality. The negative narrative surrounding her was beginning to affect her brand. Instead of being seen as a must-watch player, she was becoming a question mark, an athlete whose ability to handle adversity was being scrutinized. And in the business of sports, perception can have real financial consequences. The talent is still there. No one is questioning that. But if JuJu Watkins wants to take control of her legacy, she needs to shift the narrative fast. She has to embrace the competition, not shy away from it. She has to prove she can rise to the challenge, not be consumed by comparisons. If she can block out the noise, focus on her game, and channel her frustration into performance, she still has a chance to cement her place among the greats. But if she continues to let the pressure get to her, she risks being remembered not for what she achieved, but for what she allowed to slip away. In a country full of talented athletes playing Division I basketball, no one has scored more points in a single game this season than JuJu Watkins. That's an incredible achievement. And yet, despite her undeniable talent, her journey hasn't been without challenges. Challenges that go beyond the hardwood and into the realm of public perception, competition, and legacy. JuJu Watkins was supposed to be the next big thing in women's basketball. A generational talent. A player with the raw skill, confidence, and drive to dominate the court. She had everything in her arsenal: an elite scoring ability, sharp court vision, and a natural instinct for the game that separated her from the rest. But instead of rising to the challenge, Watkins has found herself in the middle of a storm. A self-inflicted downfall fueled by frustration, the weight of expectations, and an inability to ignore the comparisons to Caitlin Clark. Clark, the record-breaking sensation who has redefined the game, has set an unprecedented standard. While she continued to shatter records and draw national attention, Watkins struggled to keep up. The inevitable comparisons placed Watkins under a microscope, and instead of using Clark's success as fuel to elevate her own game, she let it become a distraction. The downfall didn't happen overnight. At first, the comparisons were just background noise, something that comes with being a high-profile athlete. But as Clark's star power skyrocketed, the pressure on Watkins intensified. Every game, every interview, and every social media post seemed to pit her against Clark. And when she failed to match the hype, the cracks began to show. Her post-game interviews carried tension. Her body language suggested frustration. She became visibly irritated when Clark's name was mentioned. Missed shots turned into visible signs of distress. Defensive lapses that were once rare became noticeable. And in a sport where mental toughness is just as important as physical skill, these moments matter. The media took notice. Fans took notice. Even potential sponsors took notice. And the narrative began to shift. Instead of being known as the next generational talent, Watkins was suddenly being painted as a player, struggling under the weight of expectations. She wasn't just competing against Clark on the court. She was competing against an entire media-driven storyline. Perception is everything in professional sports. Athletes aren't just judged by their performance, they're judged by their attitude, their ability to handle adversity, and their marketability. Caitlin Clark checked all those boxes.
Speaking of DeMar, I spoke to him last night, and I said that I was going to be interviewing you this morning, and I asked him to tell me what makes you special, and this is what he said, okay? He said her hunger and her drive to want to be special, the attention to details, knowledge and preparation she puts into the game, watched her since she was in the 8th grade, so humble and willing to work, ask questions, carry herself with no ego, but has a killer instinct when it's time to win. She for sure is one of one.
He's so sweet. He's so sweet.
What is that like, hearing that, those just words of affirmation from, I feel like, one of the best we've ever seen?
Yeah, I mean, that just makes my day, honestly. And for like him saying that as someone who's also from LA and went to SC as well, it just means the world. So shout out DeMar.
All those boxes. She wasn't just winning games. She was winning over fans, brands, and sponsors. Her name alone was driving ticket sales, television ratings, and merchandise numbers. She embraced the spotlight and thrived under pressure. Meanwhile, Watkins' trajectory was heading in the opposite direction. Instead of becoming a must-watch star, she was becoming a question mark. Could she handle the pressure? Could she rise to the occasion? Could she prove that she wasn't just another talented player, but a truly elite competitor? This is a crossroads moment for JuJu Watkins. The talent is there. No one doubts that. But talent alone isn't enough. She has to make a choice. Does she let the weight of comparisons define her career? Or does she embrace the challenge, put in the work, and show the world that she belongs at the top? If she can shift her mindset, block out the noise, and focus on her game, she still has the chance to carve out her own legacy. But if she continues to let the pressure get to her, the world of sports will move on. Because as brutal as it sounds, there's always another young star waiting in the wings. USC, a program with legacy but long removed from national relevance. Her mission? Put them back on the map. And at first, the story was perfect. The hometown hero carrying a city, a program, and a legacy on her back. But then, Caitlin Clark happened. Clark, with her logo threes, no-look passes, and icy confidence, wasn't just winning. She was changing the game. She became the face of college.
One to Blue Ivy and one to Jay-Z. And all this stuff
My favorite player in the world right now. As soon as he called my sister and was like, "JuJu," I was like, "JuJu? I love JuJu."
Oh, thank you so much.
When I hit Jay, I was like, "Guess who's coming today?" JuJu.
Became the face of college basketball, a marketing dream, a fan favorite. And most importantly, she was winning big, and that's when the comparisons started. Every time Caitlin Clark dropped 40, people asked what JuJu was doing. Every time Clark broke another record, JuJu's name trended, often in unfavorable contrast. To be fair, these comparisons weren't always fair. JuJu was a freshman, Clark was a seasoned vet, different teams, different systems. But in the world of social media and instant opinions, none of that mattered. The narrative was set. JuJu had to match or surpass Caitlin. On the court, JuJu was still producing, but it felt different. The swagger was still there, but so was the tension. Missed shots led to visible frustration. Post-game interviews became tighter. And online, fans started to speculate, was the pressure getting to her? Instead of letting her game silence the critics, JuJu sometimes fed into the noise, rolling her eyes at questions about Clark, seeming short with the media. Little moments, sure, but in a world where perception is everything, those moments matter. That's when the narrative began to shift. Now it wasn't just about her talent, it was about her temperament. Could she handle the pressure? Could she block out the comparisons and focus on her own greatness, or was she letting the rivalry consume her? And in today's college sports landscape, where NIL deals, endorsements, and brand partnerships are tied to an athlete's image, those questions aren't just philosophical. They're financial. Caitlin Clark became a household name. She was on magazine covers, selling out arenas, signing endorsement deals with Nike, Gatorade, and State Farm. Her brand was bigger than the game. Meanwhile, JuJu's momentum slowed, not because she wasn't elite, but because the narrative around her shifted. The media spotlight dimmed. Sponsors grew cautious. And that hurts, not just in exposure, but in opportunity. But here's the thing. JuJu Watkins' story isn't over. Far from it. She's still one of the most gifted players we've seen in years. Her ability to score, defend, and lead is unquestionable. She has charisma, she has grit. She has the tools to not only match Caitlin Clark, but build her own lane entirely. But that journey starts with mindset. If JuJu wants to reclaim her narrative, she has to embrace the challenge, not resent it. She has to let Clark's success fuel her fire, not fan her frustrations. She has to rise above the noise and remind everyone why they believed in her in the first place. Because if she does that, the sky isn't just the limit, it's just the beginning. So what do you think? Can JuJu Watkins turn things around and reclaim her spotlight? Or is she destined to be overshadowed by the rise of Caitlin Clark? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the stories the mainstream won't tell you. We'll see you in the next one. Just expanded the script with more depth on JuJu's rise, the Caitlin Clark comparisons, and how media narratives affect athlete branding. Let me know if you want it to go even deeper or shift the tone, maybe more emotional, dramatic, or even analytical.